Hello everybody, ProtoFoxy here, coming back at you with another video. We're on a playmat, you got a stack of cards. We're looking at a deck tech, aren't we not, ProtoFoxy? Yes, we are. We are on the Card Pop playmat. Card Pop, my local game store out here in Joliet, Illinois. You out in Joliet, come on and swing down. Maybe you'll catch me there. Maybe you catch some other folks there, get you some game, get you some sweet, sweet Card Pop swag. Brendan, the owner of the shop, takes care of you real well. Gets all kinds of stuff, Pokemon, Magic, definitely different collectibles in there as well, and also some sweet, sweet overseas snacks so you can enjoy your time at the table over at that shop. Pop in the LGS because that's what you gotta do. Do English, do I yes do. That's what you gotta do. Because you support your local game stores, your local businesses, your small businesses, and all that good stuff. Links in the description below for your sweet Card Pop stuff. And today, what deck are we looking at, ProtoFoxy? I see zombies. We know you're a sucker for zombie tribal in just about any format. Yes, I am. But this isn't just zombie tribal in the format we're looking at. We're going into modern. This is a, how do I explain this? Because at the time I first built this deck, because this is a one of my earliest modern decks I built, and at the time it was considered a middle of the road budget deck. Some cards may not be considered budget now, but it was back then. Obviously, I did some changes to its initial build. I initially gutted this deck to put cards in other decks, but saw it pop up again and really was just interested in rebuilding it for more of a fun time at the table, because I got some modern budget decks I'm looking at, which you'll see on the channel coming up soon. But I wanted this to kind of be a bit more on the, I guess you would say, fair side. Kind of hard to describe. It's still definitely budgety. There's a lot of budget options in here. There were some cards that blew up at one point and then cooled off and did the whole teeter-tottering seesaw. This may not be as good as it once was considering the current local meta, but it's still a fun deck to play. It is an aggro deck, and we are looking at Golgari Aggro zombies in modern. Let's look at the creature package first. This is definitely a fun deck, and it's definitely got some synergy because we got some zombie stuff going on here, obviously. Boom. We got 4 Grave Crawlers. We know what he does. Black for 2/1 zombie they can't block, and you can cast it from the graveyard as long as you control other zombies. Just a great aggressive creature in general. Sees play in a lot of modern decks that can utilize it, you know, for hitting the graveyard and coming back and all that good stuff. Just a great 1-drop. Boom. We've got 4 Gatekeeper of Malak here. 2 black for a 2/2 Vampire Warrior. Has a kicker of 1 black. If it's kicked, target player sacks a creature. Definitely good removal if you know, you go ahead and kick it. Otherwise, just a decent 2/2 creature. This did see a lot of play earlier on in Modern. Now it's kind of outclassed. Let me keep the card straight. Now it's kind of outclassed, but it's still good. Still relevant now because we're going back to Modern being a more combat step-heavy format. So definitely a card to keep an eye on and consider. You know, that kicker is definitely relevant. Boom. And then we've got 4 Bloodghast. 2 black for 2/1 Vampire Spirit. Can't block. Has haste as long as your opponent has 10 or less life. And then it has landfall. When it triggers, you can return Bloodghast from the graveyard to the battlefield. So this is something you always want to keep swinging in with, because it doesn't matter as long as you hit your land drops, you're getting it back. Boom. We got 4 of those guys. Next up, we've got 4 Putrid Leech. Black and a green for a 2/2 zombie leech. You pay 2 life. It gets 2/2 until end of turn. Activate this ability only once each turn. If you could do that multiple times in a turn, that would just be busted. Definitely a underappreciated card, is in my own opinion anyway. But I feel that Zombie Leech is a decent card, decent beater, decent aggressive zombie. Boom, fits in with our synergies, all that good stuff. And another card that I feel is greatly underappreciated, even though now it's probably outclassed in Modern. But we've got 4 Lotleth Trolls, black and a green for a 2/1 zombie troll with trample. Discard a card, put a +1/+1 counter on Lotleth Troll. Then if you pay a black, you can regenerate it. You know, with Bloodghast, with Grave Crawler, that gets out of hand pretty quickly. Again, was pretty decent for years. Now, again, it kind of gets outclassed. But again, card I feel is underappreciated, but a thing to note, it's original printing in Return to Ravnica. He was a rare. It has since been downshifted to an uncommon, so that's pretty interesting. But then again, it also shows you the power of the cards that have come out lately, because this was real good back in its original printing. Now it's an uncommon, still a good card. Still a good card. Definitely a great budget aggressive beater. So we got that. We got 4 of those guys. Bam. And now a card, one of the seesawing cards I was talking about. We've got 4 Geralf's Messengers. 3 black for a 3/2 zombie. Enters battlefield tapped. When it enters battlefield, target opponent loses 2 life. It has Undying. So again, just great aggressive card. And this card bounced back and forth. I think it's back under the $10 range, if I remember correctly. But at one point, this was just all over the place. You know, a lot of graveyard shenanigans. So, of course, this soared up in price because it was just a good... It's just a good card. Just a good black card. Yeah, those 3 black pips up there might be a little restrictive, but believe me, it's definitely worth it if you're playing black, and this deck has no problem casting it. Just again, and again, it works well with the zombie, synergy we got going on here. Boom, the zombie tribal synergy in full effect. So we got those 4 Geralf's Messengers, and the final creature in the creature package is, we got 2 Verils, the Scar Striped, generic, black and green for a 2/2 legendary troll warrior. Each creature in your graveyard has Scavenge. For those of you who do not know the Scavenge ability, you exile a creature from a graveyard and pay it its mana cost. Put a number of +1/+1 counters equal to that card's power on target creature. Scavenge only as a sorcery. Your creature's scavenge cost with Verils, the Scar Stripe, stop shaking camera, is equal to its mana cost. You sack another creature, regenerate Verils, the Scar Stripe. Definitely a decent, neat ability. Gives you things to do for cards, with cards in your creatures in your graveyard that you can't recur. Definitely regenerating him is decent. We got 2 of those guys. Definitely a top-end beater. Boom. That is the creature package of the deck. Let's get this all cleaned up and go into the spell package of the deck. Boom. Creatures out of the way. We come into, you know what this is. We got 4 of them. It's gone back up in price a bit. It's been reprinted a bunch of times. I think it's still sitting around the $15 range. ProtoFoxy, I thought you said this deck was budget. Considering what we've got going on in the deck, yes, it is. This is a higher end card. But we know what Thoughtseize does. It's an all-star in black and modern. Just take a look at it. Just look at that card. Boom. Got 4 of them. Another all-star. And especially very relevant these days is Inquisition of Kozilek. Another all-star premium removal, or not removal, discard effect in black. And at one point, this was more than Thoughtseize. Now it's definitely cooled off. Just still a great card. Boom. Got 4 of those. We've got 4 Abrupt Decays. Black and a green for instant speed, removal. Destroy target non-land permanent with converted mana cost of 3 or less. And that's relevant. Permanent. Not just creature. Permanent. And it can't be countered. Yeah, the 3 is a bit restricted. 3 or less is a bit restrictive now. A lot of people would rather play Assassin's Trophy. But again, keeping on the budget sides of things, this is a lot less than Assassin's Trophy. Still a good card. At one point, this was very expensive, but of course, it's cooled off because Assassin's Trophy was printed and definitely a bit better, but this is still a really, really good removal spell. Boom. Got 4 of them. And then finally, we've got 1 Maelstrom Pulse. A generic black and a green for sorcery. Destroy target non-land permanent and all other permanents with the same name as that permanent. Just great removal for any problem things you got going on. We got one of those. Again, this was a card at one point. It was pretty expensive. Now it's dirt cheap. So I would say go ahead and nab some of these because this is a good card. And again, fits in with the whole kind of keeping things in check as far as being a more budget-oriented build. That is the spell package of the deck. Let's get into as I leave a card on the table and don't clean up my mess. Boom. That's all done. Let's go into the mana base. And it is, remember, keeping in mind that this is a budget build, so we go there. But of course, now that we've got a reprint in Modern Horizons 2, Verdant Catacombs, we got 2 of those. Definitely more on the budget side of fetch lines. We know what that does, Verdant. Take a look at that. Boom. Got 2 of those. We've got a single Marsh Flats. Boom. Now, originally, this deck called for 4 Marsh Flats. I had the Verdants. I had a single Marsh Flat. What is the 4th fetch land we're using? Well, keeping budget in mind, we stuck in a Fabled Passage. Yeah, it only searches up a basic land, and then you have to have 4 lands on the field for it to come out untapped, but still decent budget fetch land option. And then again, keeping in budget, keeping budget in mind, we've got 2 Dark Boar Pathways, the modal dual face lands. This side taps for green, the other, or taps for black. The other side taps for green, so it is what you need when you need it. Definitely decent budget option. They're really good in Pioneer, but I feel like these are overlooked. These are decent. So again, keeping things budget minded rather. Definitely a card you want to maybe consider. Then we've got 3 Woodland Cemeteries. We know what they are. We know what they do. So you get a look at that. We've got 3 Overgrown Tombs. And again, Shocklands, always good. Maybe a bit more on the pricey side now, but at one point these were lower because of multiple printings. So just, again, things considered. We got 2 Basic Forests. And then we've got 1, 2, make sure these aren't sticking together, these sleeves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Basic Swamps. That is the mana base of the deck. Let's go ahead, gather all this together, and get my final thoughts on this deck. Boom. So, there we go. Golgari Aggro Zombies in Modern. It is a more budget-oriented deck. It was initially considered that way back when I first put it together years ago. This is one of my first Modern decks. Obviously, I had 4 Overgrown Tombs and then 4 Marsh Flats as opposed to the mana base we got now. I just went ahead and stuck things together that I had on hand instead of buying the cards again to do the exact build, but it does the same thing. It is a fun deck. It is an aggressive deck. It kind of, as I keep the camera from shaking, kind of comes out of nowhere. People don't expect it. Is it a, would I take this into a GP or anything? Nah, probably not, but you sit down in an F&M at your local game shop, sitting down with friends, bash out some games, think you get some decent results. Seems like this is something up your alley. Go ahead and sleeve it up, get it together, sling some cards. Definitely a good time. I have a very big fondness for this deck just because one of my earliest Modern decks that I had built and now putting it back together, it just gives me back such a, it gives me the warm fuzzies, such good memories of when I initially put it together. All that being said, if you like what you saw, give it a like. If you did, shoot a subscribe my way. I would greatly appreciate it. Sweet card pop playmat. Link in the description below for all your card pop needs. Come down to Joliet. It's off of Jefferson. Maybe you'll run into me there and we'll sling some cards. Maybe you'll even see me slinging this deck. And with that, I will leave you all with this. Be kind to yourselves and your fellow human beings, because life is too short, so play on, and I will see you in the next video.